Let's talk about the sustainability plan that we used to call future funding. So you might see that in some of the old sample grant proposals. So first, why do you need a sustainability plan? Aren't you getting money from a funder to run your program? So basically, this section is about what will you do after year one. So funders are basically giving you, a year of seed money to get your program started, but they're not wanting to fund your program forever. You don't just stay in their budget from here on out. And this kind of came as a surprise to me, that you don't just automatically get funded forever. You get funded for a certain amount of time. In this class, we're pretending that that's a year. Some grants are longer than that. And then you have to figure out how else you're going to sustain your program. Are you going to be expanding it and writing new grants? Are you going to be reaching out to other funders? Are you fundraising? What are you doing? So funders want to know that you have a plan in place to keep this program going after the first year, because they don't want to just fund something for a year, put all that money into building something that then disappears. So we're going to talk through all of these requirements in more detail, but the requirements for this section are that first you address if there is any cost adjustment, how costs will change after year one, and then you have to have at least one specific and realistic idea for future funding, and we'll talk through those options. You also are going to describe what you perceive to be one challenge related to your program's sustainability in the community, and one strength related to your program's sustainability. Again, very concise and clear writing, and this is a very short section, just about a quarter of a page. So, cost adjustment. This is, will your cost change after year one? So for most of the grant proposals that our class writes, costs will be reduced after year one, potentially. They could, of course, increase if the number of people you're serving goes up, but you will often save money because now you don't have to train all of your staff. You just have to train your new staff, potentially. You don't have to purchase all of the evidence-based program materials. Maybe you just need some or none. Maybe some of your supplies don't have to be repurchased. Obviously, if it's things like food and handouts and paper, it has to be repurchased. But if it's iPads that your organization is holding on to, or smart boards, right, then you don't have to keep repurchasing those. Maybe you just need a smaller amount for replacement equipment. So then, after addressing any cost adjustment, you want to discuss your future funding strategy. And here's your choices. We're going to talk through all of these. Grant funding, or saying that you're going to incorporate your new evidence-based program into the agency budget and support with fundraising. Or maybe you're going to charge a fee for the program or sell something to help support the program. So we're only asking that you have a minimum or one of these, but you could choose to say you're going to use a combination, right, to continue to fund the program. All right, so the first one, additional grants. So this is where you basically say we will write grants to seek additional funding, and we want you to go a little bit further than just a general statement about that. We want you to actually list potential foundations or grantors that you could apply to if you choose this option. So we're going to be talking about the funder analysis of fit. You're going to have identified a couple of other potential funders that you could have applied to. So you could describe those here. The second option is fundraising. So again, we don't want you to just say we will raise funds, we will do fundraising to support the program. We want you to be a little bit more specific than that. And so you can either identify fundraisers that your program already uses, or you can propose a new fundraiser. So basically what you're saying here is we're going to incorporate this evidence-based program into our existing budget at our agency, and we're going to either use our existing fundraisers such as blank and blank, or we're going to develop a new fundraiser to support this program. And that new fundraiser might be a golf tournament. So you might have to do a little bit of digging to figure out what your agency already does for fundraising, and you can describe those here as fundraising examples that could help support your program. And then the third option, which is less common, I would say, but still an option, is that you say, this program is free in the first year to our participants, but in upcoming years, we're going to charge a small fee, or we're going to have a sliding scale to support the program. The other option here is that you sell something that your participants or your agency clients create. So maybe your youth are creating art that could be auctioned off at a silent auction, and that money could be used to support your evidence-based program. Okay, so now you're going to be mentioning one strength and one challenge related to your evidence-based program's sustainability in the community. So not your agency's sustainability, although it is a little implied here, it's more the evidence-based program's sustainability in your community. So you can talk about the strength of your agency's history, that you've got long-term history of providing services in the community, of partnerships, of fundraising, and a strong donor base. Challenges could include things like maybe your population is hard to recruit, or maybe you've got high staff turnover, and that means you're going to be spending more time and money on training them in the evidence-based program. Or maybe a challenge would be that you'd be struggling with space if your program expands and having to identify other places to hold your program. All right, so again, here's your resources. These should sound familiar. The course workbook has more information. You'll be using your funder analysis of fit to write this section if you decide to talk about potential other grant funders. You'll be pulling up your agency's website, maybe their social media, to figure out what they already do for fundraising, and again, consulting the proposal checklist and sample proposals.